No sound.
Can you hear me now? Technical problems. Let's see if I can do it. I'll try again. Might have to go old school if this don't work. And hello. Let me see if I can show this. All right, and I'm here. Hey, somebody in chat, tell me if you can hear me. And Briz, I'm expecting your T-shares or somewhere. I don't know whether. Let me see if I can get Johnny up here on the screen with me. Boom. All right, we're both up here. Let's see if we can hear each other.
I can hear you.
Oh man, so bullish. That's really, really bullish. Hey, thanks, Briz. Thanks for answering. Yeah, hey, thanks for joining me, Johnny. I know you got a lot to say about this subject. I got a lot to say, and I was just waiting to see what the next shoe to drop would be, and this is pretty awesome shoe to be dropping. Right, boom, Quattro Cinco stakes from the OA. It looks like anybody who's been staking in their ladder and building it in the past and got great yield, they may never see that again.
Yeah, you that is another way to amplify the T-shares. So I mean, you look at the people that have taken their positions and they've left, and we always said, we along the way we've kind of lost that long-term narrative, right? And I think this shows you.
Well, you didn't lose it.
Well, no, we didn't lose it, but I mean, a lot of people lost.
And I didn't lose it, and most of the people listening to this, they haven't lost it. They haven't lost the bubble.
Yeah.
But.
Well, they're here for the T-shares, man. They understand there's a value there. They might not always get it, but they understand there's a value there. And now these type of moves show you that no, Richard hasn't lost a plot. No, it's not about short-term stuff. And I think people miss the fact that he's not talking to you anymore. He's reached. This is what he's
just doing it. He's doing it. He's doing it, man.
What he's doing on the blockchain is showing you. You want to talk about speaking through the blockchain? He just said this protects the long-term investors. Mm-hmm. You got more HEX than other people will in the future because this is how this is done. If you gave up your position, well, you'll probably never get that position back again, earning that kind of level of yield. And again, it does nerf like the short-term rolling stakes and stuff too, which is encouraging people for longer-term behavior. And if you want the yield, if you want more yield, well, you're going to have to up your position because it's just not that easy to get anymore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can now. I bet you. I bet you we're going to have a lot of people complaining. There's too little inflation. Yesterday you were saying there's too much. Now you're complaining there's too little. But here's the thing: is the people who got the inflation, presumably, right, are and didn't end their stakes and
the long termers because it's 3x. It's 3x at the end of the ramp. In 15 years, it's 3x what the people earlier we're getting anyway. So
and so the point is you got a whole bunch of HEX and you're sitting on it, likely stronger hands, likely
5 years at 3x, 5 years of yield at 3x. You can't expect those multipliers to stay around forever, so but we have the same situation again as we did before. This is big payday all over again. People are going to get upset. They're going to get mad. It's not going the way they wanted it to. They're going to quit. You'll have volatility as a result of that. And it turns out, go back to the chart, look at big payday where everybody was quitting. That was the worst possible time you could have ever quit HEX, right before the run up. It was like the chart will punish you so hard for rage quitting right now. It's just going to be. not your audience. They know better than to rage quit, but some people are going to rage quit. So expect volatility. Don't be trying to get in long and short positions right now, because there will be volatility. There will people throwing a temper tantrum, flipping over the table and having a fit because they don't like how things are going. But I'm telling you right now, long term is still on the table, and the system has just done its own internal happening.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's super bullish. Now, listen, people going to do what they do. It's DeFi. They do whatever they want, right? Dip catch.
Oh, sure.
I'm going to do. I actually have been talking about it anyways, because it's time for another Quattro Cinco for me. So I'm going to do another Quattro Cinco this coming week. I'm even more pumped up about doing Quattro Cincos, because there just won't be that many other people compelled to do them, right? And so it just means so much more to me. And plus, remember, just like this event took place, things could change, right? We really don't know what the OA can and will do. I mean, I really don't. We suspect the best we've ever been able to do is go off of what they've done in the past, right? And so now we have a new data set. Hey, you know what? The OA could come start new short-term stakes, could come start long-term stakes. We're going to find out this coming week whether the OA is going to change its behavior with ending stakes.
So here's what's funny. Those 555s, they could nuke.
Oh yeah,
they could be random paydays.
They could.
Literally, wouldn't it be funny if like a whole bunch of people rage quit and then he just popped one of those, and then the remaining people got extra things. Then a bunch of people rage quit again, and then he just pops one of those. So there is functionality there, but the moves do say that the long-term behavior will be rewarded, and it is gearing towards rewarding people that are staked longer, and that's important to HEX because that is what it's designed for. The longer pays better. If the longer doesn't pay better, then its use case is broken. And that's what people took in the question was, well, what's the point of this or what's the point of that? And me and Crispy would just look at you and say, you ain't got a stake. Get out of our pool. You ain't got a stake at all. It's a choice. You don't have to make that choice. And new participants, I saw somebody say something about
I put it up on the screen. This is a great question from Mark F. How will new participants feel compelled to lock up for years if the APY is now cut? I think that's a great question. You take your slice out, and then I'll take mine.
Well, there's two aspects of that APY. One is the HEX per day per T-share. The other part is the price. So there's two parts there. How do they feel about earning $100 a day? How would they feel about earning $100 a day? See, it's all relative to how the price is performing, and the price is performing based on people buying, burning, supply off the market, creating T-shares, creating scarcity, right? Because that HEX is now sent into the future because it's no longer available HEX. It is now future HEX. And I love the dynamic deferred inflationary model, because what that does is if people do not finish their terms, that HEX never happens. That HEX just continuously gets pushed out to the future, and it's weighted on the 555s, the 3x multiplier. So the majority of the HEX that comes into circulation keeps getting pushed out. If those people don't finish their term, it gets pushed out again. It just doesn't occur. It just keeps getting pushed out, pushed out, pushed out. People have to finish their terms in order to get the payment. And that's what people don't understand. And I hear a lot of people get upset about the inflation. Well, the inflation is too much. Not really. The guy with the 1 billion, he's making about $16,000 a month. Do you think we can't come up with a monthly buy pressure of $16,000? It's not as significant as people really think. Now at $1, that would be a whole lot of money. But at, sub-cent, penny range, he's not making all that much. Well, now that just got cut in half, right? So maybe he'll rage quit. Or the other thing is, maybe he wants the multipliers. Maybe he wants the yield of future HEX. Maybe he takes that HEX and burns it, makes T-shares, and removes it off the market for longer periods of time. It's a free market. You can't stop whales from coming in here and using the contract as it's designed to be used. What you can do is you can make the environment change to where people are more incentivized to use the contract as it is optimized. And that's what I think's happened here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and so my answer is very similar to your answer is, hey, listen, I got my units, right? So I'm all set because I've been in and I've been doing the staking. I'm a longer term believer. I've been adding Quattro Cincos, as we go along. So I got my units, right? So yes, other people in the future are going to be dealing with smaller amounts of units. It's kind of like a Genesis whale moment. Not that I'm a whale, but I mean the idea that you've got so much ETH as an example that it's really ridiculous at the higher prices, right?
Yeah.
And so why would other people be interested? Because the dollar price appreciation, which for those of us who have a lot of HEX after this, before this event and after, dollars don't even matter anymore, right? I mean, it's just it could be so big that it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, some people got positions they couldn't exit right now if they wanted to, if it was all liquid, So, I mean, all crypto has the same problems. The difference is you've actually got a chart of future market supply with HEX. You actually do see a system, right? There's nothing to prevent anybody in any crypto from walking in with a large amount of money and just using the system as it is, right? So they will pay a higher price because I guarantee you're not just going to walk in and buy 100 million EHEX. You think you will. You think you can at this price. You can't. Good luck. I don't think Michael Saylor can get 100,000 EHEX right now. He certainly can't get 100. Well, on Pulse side, you might be able to do it, but there just isn't the availability over there on the Ethereum side. There's 17 ETH on the bid side right now. You know what that means? That means if somebody with 17 ETH fat fingered it right now, at 4x is the price. And we've been setting in these conditions, but people are afraid. They're worried about this, they're worried about that, they're worried about this, they're worried about that, and they're worried about uncertainty of the system. They're worried about the SEC case that isn't even a case. It was a hearing. They actually have to ask the judge if they have permission to continue. I love that part. People don't get that part. They're like, oh, Richard has a case against him. No, Richard has a complaint against him. They have just had a hearing to decide whether or not there is a case. That's what a hearing is. We'll hear you out. Do you have
2
a
more
case?
days? 2 or 3 more days, we might have some news. We'll see. I'm expecting Monday, Tuesday to get some sort of news. We'll see.
Why do you say 3 more days? Where do you get
that?
Well,
one of the court paperwork releases. Right, I don't know the right terminology. Is supposed to be.
Oh, the declassification kind of sort of thing.
Yeah. Now, what does it mean? I don't know what it means. We're going to find out, though. This will be cool. Well, near as I can tell, this is, I know if anybody has eyeballs on what's going on chain, let us know in the chat, meaning how many T-shares, et cetera, because it looks to me like the OA has created, basically doubled and more the T-shares out Quattro Cinco. So it makes the OA the new, on the Pulse chain side, it makes the OA the new and only Poseidon Quattro Cinco 2040. And the mix should be something like the OA is holding 60% of the T-shares out there. That's what it looks like to me.
He took somebody's trident away. They were going to be pissed.
Oh, yeah. You mean the rewards? You talking about the...
He took somebody's trident away.
Oh,
he is now the only Poseidon in 4040 or 2040.
No, yeah, we knew it couldn't last forever, right? Somebody take that position, but now it's there. So the OA has both in a long and a short at that kind of number. So I don't know if the same thing happened on EHEX. All the blockchains aren't updated yet with the new numbers, so just waiting to see. I mean, they might be updated, but the data that I have isn't showing it yet to see what it is. But we can kind of rough eyeball this that another 14 million T-shares or 14,000 T-shares, excuse me, were created. Quattro Cinco.
Man, pull up your charts. You got all the damn charts. You're the one with all the info.
Well, yeah,
I watch your info, so I know what's going on. What are you talking about?
I know it takes a couple days though for all my information to get all straightened out again. I got some work to do again. And actually, one of the things I've always done is try to keep. Oh, hey, Stoic. Thanks for that. I'll pull you up here in a second. One of the things I've always done is I try to go get like the hedron data and whatnot, and so that I can have it included. And it's blowing up my models today. I looked up and it was like, it stopped working. The other day it was because too many hearts. There was too much heart. Is Stoic? How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Yeah, you know, who's crushing it? Coast is 0x Coast is crushing it. Man, I love that protocol. Thank you for that super chat. Very nice of you. You know, as you guys know, I talk about that quite a bit.
Old Glory, guys, go over there to Coast and get yourself an Old Glory account that allows you to transfer your crypto to your bank account, your Old Glory account. You get a free debit card, and you can have access to your crypto when you need it. So go ahead, look. You're gonna have to get extra banks anyway. You might as well add a bank, put $50 in it, get yourself an Old Glory account. That way you have closer access to your coins. You have to have backups for getting in and getting out, because you will find that some of these centralized exchanges are going to go down at the most inopportune moments. So it's always good to have backup routes in case you're in a pinch. So do it. Just
do it.
Have it on standby. It's not going to hurt you to have an extra backup account on standby.
Yeah, I always I have 2 or 3 different methods, so it's good to have different ways to get in.
Of course you do. I'm talking to everybody else.
Yeah. I'm just saying for them too. You know, I mean, in some of the stuff that's out there that's available to you, you don't even really think about it, like Robinhood. You know, most people fade that and be like, oh no, but you can off ramp and on ramp through Robinhood pretty easily. In fact, you still have the bridge problem though, and of course,
and the bridge, you get around the bridge. That's so if the bridge is clogged, the Coast is another way to do that. Although I did have an issue with burning. I think it was because the network fees were high and the wallet that I was using at the time. That's one of the things. MetaMask is being a real pain in the ass. Sometimes you have to set your gas fees manually because it's not optimized for the chain. So it's being really, really difficult in high volume times. Most of the time, if I'm trying to do something, I'm just like, well, whatever, I'll come back later. You know, it's not that urgent at this moment, but just something to take into consideration, guys. If you're having failing transactions and issues and stuff, MetaMask is a pain in the butt, and it's not reading the gas like it should. And somebody really needs to tell them, they need to optimize for Pulse so that it can calculate the gas fees better. Because right now it just gives you like one read. It doesn't tell you what the middle and the aggressive is. It's not reading those gas fees.
Yeah. Well, Rabbi's been a hell of a lot better. And somebody just said that in chat as well. For me, because I was having all sorts of trouble with the high gas, even if I was willing to pay it. Mm-hmm. I couldn't figure out the right combination of numbers to make it work.
Right.
And so Rabbi did it automatically, and it saved me a lot of money probably.
So Rabbi's doing that automatically. Yeah, and the Internet Money one seems to be like really high in fees. So I don't know. I haven't really done the research to compare the two, but it seems like the fees are really high, and it just might have been market conditions, because I've not actually used the Internet Money in low volume conditions, or have another wallet that was giving me the data that I needed to really do the comparative analysis. But watch your gas fees, folks. You might click a button and spend 50,000 Pulse. Okay, so watch your gas fees on whatever you're using. Make sure you know what you're paying in your gas fees, and make sure you're not spending excessively. And if it's a high volume time, you might just want to sit back and let people bang their heads against the wall for a while and take your time.
Yeah. Well, I just pulled up on the screen here just a quick thing that I'll look at. Maybe try to get to what we have for liquidity, at least on the Pulse chain side. Show you guys just a very high level what I'm seeing. So we have, make this screen a little bit bigger if it'll listen to me. I don't know, Johnny. Today's a tough day for me. I don't know what's going on. So we take a look at the PHEX and what's out there. We've had about 9 million in volume between V1 and V2 Pulse, which is one of the most important pairs, if not the most important pair. And that's about on 18 million in liquidity. So what's happening is the what's happening here is, man, the chain is cooking, man. I'm watching the volumes that are going through, and my tracked volume is norm seemed to be around 30 million, and
What's
then
coming over the bridge? What's the bridge looking like?
I haven't looked. We'd have to go over and look at that. I don't know offhand what has been coming over. Um, I haven't heard of any new influx like big of any type. So this is all money sloshing around inside. But we're seeing this for the old PHEX. And then if I go look at EHEX, let's just throw him up here, him or her. And so we have considerably less liquidity, primary pair being with HEX. So it's going to follow HEX to some extent. But let me see where we are volume was. Yeah, so greatest liquidity pairs out there, the EHEX, HEX, UFO, the HEX, which is the Atropa EHEX pair. But we're seeing some pretty heavy volume going through EHEX as well. So it's all pretty interesting.
Yeah, so Cryptolander here is saying basically it's discouraging to stake in any way. No, it's not. You're still making yield. If anything, the fact that people were liquidity locusts, and the objective was to offer high initial percentages for people to come over and plant their liquidity. When that became competition for HEX staking, frankly, I can't think of a better place to put your money right now to earn yield than HEX, because the liquidity pools have been basically diluted like they should have been from the very beginning. They should have never, that short-term behavior should have never challenged HEX's long-term staking. If longer doesn't pay better, then HEX is kind of pointless. So that was something that needed to be protected from the start.
I think it was all part of the plan. Now, of course, it's kind of like a moving picture. It's a piece of art. But I mean, this was, you could look at whether I like it or not doesn't matter. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I don't like. I like getting more yield, right? All my plans that I carefully were putting in place, just like Big Payday, are now like strewn all over the place, right? Because I was making some pretty good rewards in a number of different areas. But to your point on this, I think that the way the OA has set this up, by reducing the yield, first by coming in with the millions of T-shares, right, and then now taking up the yield at the end of the end of the curve. He could back off. They could back off at any time and double up on the yield. It'll go from whatever it's going to be. Maybe it's going to be 2 HEX per T-share. I don't know by the time we're done here. But a couple moves on that short-term stuff, it could go back up to 4. It gives some ability to dial it in. And Richard had talked previously about if he had his druthers, he would have kept it somewhere closer to reality, because one of the big things, this goes back 3 years when he did an interview, right? And they were asking about the 40%. And he said, yeah, he probably would have kept it lower than where it was, because people actually are put off by promising too high.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't seem realistic, right? And plus, people confuse the APR with the inflation. The inflation is 3.69% max, and it's actually realized is actually only about 1.5% inflation.
Yeah, very low
per year. So people confuse that 30 or 40% APY with the inflation, but it's not. They're not the same. It's like, well, how do you get that? Well, it's very simple, because it's only paid to stakers, and only roughly around 9 or 10% were staked. So, and that actually left plenty of space open for anybody to come in and get your T-shares. But the problem is, nobody staking short-term planned on staking long-term to begin with.
Yeah,
so they don't actually need a 3x.
Some of them did. But yeah. The ones who just were like, because I know lots of people, lots of people. I hear them all the time, telling me it's crap. They're not going to do it, right? So they've been short. They've been short now. To be locked in and pay penalties to move in and out for 2%. It's like, I don't know, APR, not even ROI. We're talking about APR, which would be over a year. And so it's so little now that yeah, I would expect that bow wave to be all the OA pretty soon.
Everybody has the option to come in now, and then 4 years from now, your T-share is going to be twice as much in HEX terms. In 2.5 years, every 2.5 years, the T-share rate doubles. It's 40,000 HEX now. It's going to be 80,000 in 2.5 years.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
I know.
Like hell, you didn't know that.
I talk about it all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm reinforcing it. Okay. So we've got a halvening. That's a halvening right there. Okay. You're getting half the T-shares 2.5 years from now than you can get for today for the same amount of HEX. Now, if that HEX doubles in price, that's 4x. 4x in cost. Just doubling in price and waiting 2.5 years. So if it goes up to 2 pennies, you're now paying twice the amount for the T-share, which is not what's going to happen. It's going to go way beyond that. You're going to you talk about
it's gonna be ridiculous.
$1 million T-share bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know when $1 million hits, but obviously at $5, right? At $5, what is it's 40,000 times 5? Yeah, that'd be $1 million, right? No, that would be $5, 40,000 HEX. That would be just 200,000. So $50 HEX would get us up there. But
every 2.5 years it doubles. So 2.5 years from now it's 80,000. 2.5 years from then it's 160,000. 2.5 years from there it's 320,000 HEX per T-share. That is very important for people to get in their brain, that every 2.5 years in HEX terms, the T-share doubles. Now, with the extra factor of the OA staking, this might be a reoccurring happening sort of situation that was an intended use for the OA the whole time, which was every 4 years or so, they reduce the inflation by half, right? It could be an ongoing sort of thing. This could be a secondary thing that could be added to that mix, which makes things even more interesting if it wasn't sticky enough before.
Well, and HEX Scout up here said that the big APY drop is only for 7 days, and that's true. We need to remember that it's quite possible things change again. Yeah, we just don't know. But all these comments are really good comments. What people are going to be talking about, because I mean. This is one of the things that makes me bullish about staking. Yes, in the short term, probably going to turn a lot of people off from staking. Probably going to encourage some people to emergency unstake. Some people will view this as, like somebody wrote in the chat, not the free market. Like this is, some big ass dude, the OA, just screwed everything up for everybody, and he can and will do that. And so therefore, I don't want to play, right? So there are going to be people that drop out because of all this. Now, I feel like that's super bullish for me, right? Because the more people that disbelieve, the fewer, I'm already talking, to the wall most of the time. Except for the
it's what happened. It's what happened at Big Payday. Exactly. That's exact attitude that happened during Big Payday is that same exact, well, I don't like people moving shit around on me. It's not fair. I wanted to stake for a day and I wanted 4 times my money the next day, and that got screwed for you. I'm so sorry that got screwed for you. I'm so sorry that you didn't get 4 times the amount of bag to dump on everybody else's head and exploit them. I'm so sorry that didn't happen for you. So this is the same kind of thing that happened. You will have these people with this attitude. They will complain, it's rigged, it's cheap. No, it's not. You are getting what everybody else is getting based on your time and your commitment. You're getting multipliers based on your time and your commitment. The system state just isn't inflating as much. So that's not being distributed. It's being removed from the market. More scarcity is being created. The liquidity pools are thinner. The prices can pump harder. This is healthy for the system. The OA has always acted in the best benefit of the system. And if you don't believe that, that's okay. You can tap out. It's okay. But I can tell you, in the past, if this is just like Big Payday, that was the dumbest thing to do. And if you think this is bad, let me tell you how worse it was. Let me tell you how worse it was. Our top influencer at the time had like a 10,000 following. Okay. It wasn't me, wasn't Crypto Coffee, wasn't Crypto 7, wasn't any of those guys. Okay. Wasn't Maddie. It wasn't RG. It wasn't any of those. Our top guy who was mainstream, his name was Nightly Crypto. Okay. And he told everybody to get out. Can you imagine if Crypto Coffee threw an emergency stream and told everybody to get out right now? Because that's what we experienced. And by the way,
it was scary at that moment when that happened.
And by the way, we were not even a penny yet.
Yeah, we didn't hit a penny until the end of the year.
Yeah, we were told every day for the first year, HEX could never hit a penny. The market cap would be too high. Every day, anytime we said HEX to a penny, 100 people would chime in and say, "You guys are idiots. It can never hit a penny. The market cap would be too high. It'll never hit a penny. The market cap's too high." Every day. Can you imagine when you've got 100 followers and you've got 100 people in your comments badgering you and telling you you're an idiot, it'll never hit a penny, right? And then you've got your number one influencer telling you it's all over. Richard's manipulating the system. The OA just staked everything. This is bullshit. He just wiped it out. Now we know what happened. Now it's over. And then look what happened after Big Payday. So the time on the chart would be 2020, November 2020.
Yep.
November 2020 would be when Big Payday was. Look after November 2020. Look what it did after we were told and everybody was scared and people quit. We didn't know what was going on. Our biggest influencer told us, our biggest influencer who was experienced in crypto and really understood how everything was. We were just all newbies starting out, with our streaming and stuff. He had a full audience and everything. He's telling us that we're all screwed and we're stupid, right? So imagine that. And then surviving that. So yes, when it comes to this little thing here right now, we're like, oh yeah, been here, done that, seen it before. Yeah. All good.
Well, yeah, and we're going to get those calls. Hey, Corey, an investor, good to see you out there. You're asking about the good accounting feature. Remember, guys, so when you say the good accounting feature, we're talking about the short stakes, which when they get past their maturity date, they could be ended. And if they're not ended, the OA could good account them, or some other person in the community could good account them. But the good accounting effectively takes the T-shares out of the pool and returns the yield. So that would be the effect of that, similar to ending. And in the meantime, if the good accounting is not done, and the stake is not ended, it would begin to be penalized. There's actually a bunch of stakes, right? But they would begin to be penalized at a very high clip. But again, it is DeFi in this way. People can go to the contract and do a good accounting, and they will, So I would expect that nobody will let it bleed for very long. But that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of cool for that distribution. I don't know if you have a comment on the actuator protocol, but just so people know what we're talking about, HEX T Armstrong. There is a protocol out there where you can borrow against HSIs that have been made, and HSIs are HEX stake instances. I won't go into too much detail. I mean, I think it was a great add-on for the chain and for HEX.
It's funny because Alex is really ahead of his time, is what it is. Okay, so he actually has a use case for NFTs. The encapsulated stake, the use case for NFTs. The problem is most of what Alex has built is ahead of its time. People haven't caught on yet. They haven't even learned the base game yet to download the expansion sets. So that's kind of the problem there. As a standalone product, it's not really a standalone product. It's more of an expansion set because it is based and dependent on the performance of HEX. So I think what he's done over there is brilliant. I think it's ahead of its time. I think the HSIs and the marketplace and stuff like that will be something that will excel in the future.
Oh, dude, those HSIs, in my opinion, just got a boost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, think about the previous yield that's now locked into those.
That's really interesting because you've got multipliers in those HSIs, and the only way to actually get those Genesis stakes now is to get an HSI, because you will not get those rates ever again.
Yeah, you won't get those rates, and and they're going to be, we'll just think and envision a very high priced HEX, right?
Hmm.
Those HSIs, they're going to be earning at rates that'll be better than any stake you could make today
That's true.
or into the future. And
I'm
and
gonna
they
have to really give this some thought.
and they contain a boatload of HEX that's already been minted into it.
Yeah,
Not minted, but it has allocated HEX.
accounted for. Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be able to get there. Hey, so Cal's saying, hey, so you all are going to be staked through the next bear market without selling a single HEX. I probably won't sell any HEX during the bear market, but I am staked, dude. So here's the I go when I'm talking about HEX, I'm using full product market fit the right way. My opinion only. People do whatever the hell they want, right? The right way is to have a complete 15-year ladder. Now, I can get why people might not do the first 4 years right now, but the right way to do is have a 15-year ladder. And as your rungs come out, and this isn't new to like HEX. This is like certificates of deposit
Yeah.
101. As your certificate of deposit comes out, you scrape the yield, you go out for the longest term, the best rate. Of course,
Everybody,
how it is.
we've got this thing where people think that selling's bad. No, if you want to take profit, take profit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
If,
It's just
if you have several $100,000 or millions of dollars in here, I'd say it'd be okay to take 1% or 10% if you want, to
Oh,
reduce.
it's criminal. I think
You know?
I think Johnny. So my opinion, because now I'm involved with a bunch of different things, right? And I've had to figure out how to support tokens, and then brings you face to face with, when you put value up for a token for LP, you're really giving the market your value, and
Yeah.
a lot of people don't really appreciate that very much. They'll drain the shit
Yeah.
out of you anyways, but you put up that value, and so then you're looking at a token, and HEX is our token. So how do you support HEX, right? Well, you could use HEX, blah, blah, blah. To some extent, it's your duty, I think, as a hardcore Hexican, to be able to take profits at the top and to buy at the bottom. It's like your duty to do the support. I mean, how else does this happen? Otherwise, somebody's got to do that. Otherwise, price never goes up.
And nobody gets an entry either. They're always lagging on their entry, right? They don't get the big gains. They get a 1 or 2, they get a 2x, right? Because nobody ever reduces the price down where there are better entry points. So look, it's a market and it's open. If most will sell in euphoria. Most will sell in euphoria is kind of an open thing, right? You don't know when you're euphoric. You don't know. You don't feel like the music's ever going to stop. That's why you're euphoric. That's part of the thing. We've got people right now that are like, literally, we're in the home stretch here. We're finishing out the first season. We're coming out beaten and battered during our first season, and people are like, I'm never going to play again, right? They haven't even made it to the second season yet. This is the second season. We're just starting the second season. We're just coming out of the brutal season. Now we're going into the next season. Remember, guys, people will say we're down for 3 years. It's called a 4-year cycle. Did I hear anyone say it's a 3-year cycle? And he likes to say it's a 15-year cycle in HEX. You got, and you can break that down into 3 seasons.
Yeah.
So
yep. You definitely can. Well, and we don't know what's happening with this cycle. I'm following, of course, the 4-year cycle theory, waiting to see how it plays out. But we may see an extension to 26. But it doesn't matter. What matters is paying attention, so you know when it's happening. It's just like trying to pick dollars. Hey, let's address this one real quick on OA must have a lot of calm. Yeah, that just made me think of that with the OA doing the new stakes. Man, they get a start bonus of calm that's so huge that they could really change the market if it went and got the calm. And so our theory in the past has been, and it shows in practice, but we just don't have enough LP, and we have, meaning calm has too many liabilities, just like HEX has liabilities. People have done staking in the past, and if they just dump, it just empties the LP. But there's a theory that was floated around by Johnny Sachs about taking the calm and putting it up against a great amount of HEX as LP, and that would create a situation where you could have a com that actually pays you more for doing Quattro Cincos, right? Look at that instant rebate kind of theory. So yeah, Hex Squid. There's going to be I know the OA is aware. I know the OA is aware of Communis. I'm not sure
Well,
the OA would participate in it in any way, shape, or
some of these add-ons have not been good, but the OA does participate. So, like for instance, the
HSIs or the Hedron. Right?
well, the yield from Hedron got nerfed substantially as a result of that. So it's not necessarily to your benefit if you want to utilize some of these digital things to draw attention to it. And sometimes, so really what happened is people were like, "Why stake Hex? Stake Hedron instead."
Mm.
That was a pitch, and the OA said, "Oh yeah, okay," and that was done. That idea went right out. So you have to understand these other things. All these things are dependent on Hex and Hex's performance.
Oh yeah. They're tied.
And don't make them confrontational, or you got to choose one or the other. Don't do that in any way. It won't go good.
Well, I know I won't listen to you if you tell me that. So, I mean, if somebody tells me you can't, you have to do this and you shouldn't do Hex anymore, I'd be like, nope. I know how it makes me feel. People have told me that. Somebody's asking, hey, Hex LP, how does this affect Hex LP? I think at the moment, most providers are scared as hell that they will lose too much value, that Hex will go up too fast. And so it's definitely diminishing. I believe they're wanting to do heavy quantities of Hex, but I think the smaller players who are trying to make some of the tokens move might add more LP. But because if you have a small token, doing a few $1,000s worth of Hex could benefit the token quite a bit.
Yeah, we're gonna have a big discussion about liquidity pools one of these days, because I really don't think people understand it, and they don't really understand how this value is transferred, and they don't understand liquidity webs and how bonding and stuff works.
Right.
You do. You've got a coin. We've got a lot of people out there that understand it, and those who understand it are utilizing it, and those who are not are getting screwed and getting fooled. And that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. It seems like a lot of the information and stuff that was put out there about how to work with liquidity pools and ratios and stuff has been kind of
well, it's not an easy topic to get your head around.
No, but the people that do listen are kind of exploiting it, and I'm just not a fan of how that's kind of gone, because you can create value, right? So there's value creation, and you'll see things that move with Hex. Well, that's because somebody has a lot of Hex and they bonded those two together.
Yeah, they bonded them really tightly.
And then so what happens is like, oh look, we're up, we're moving the same. Yeah, well, that's literally because your base dollar value is in Hex. If you didn't have any Hex to back it with, it wouldn't move at all. But they don't understand that. So we should do some kind of liquidity marathon or something to put it
Well,
out
I'll
there.
tell you, I've learned all sorts of things, man. I didn't, I did everything on my own, meaning I pushed the buttons and I did stuff. So I take responsibility for the stuff I'm doing, but I never intended to have to learn these lessons, but I am sure glad that I have. And like there's a lot of information that I picked up. Like, for instance, people don't know this probably. Half of all the transactions that are taking place on PulseX are less than a penny. Right? The majority of the volume goes through V1. Everything else is a sideshow. I mean, it's just so much. There's just so many different things when you start looking at the liquidity and how it works. But I think you're right. It's probably that'd be like days long. And then Axis, when I work with him on that, he's always enlightening me on more and more and more and more of the liquidities type stuff. That's there. Yeah, Eternal Owl. I never really thought about there being a happening every 4 years, but it could be. It could be. I mean, the idea that it'd be done. Now, the reason I say it that way is that this is a halving of your rewards. I always kind of thought that we were getting halvings, and we do, through the rate
T-share.
increase.
Yeah.
Right, through the T-share rate, and it's happening multiple times a day, week, month. So it's like little mini halvings. But yeah, this was a very big change to make to the system, bringing the yield down this quickly. And you might be right. Maybe it's long lasting, and maybe it happens every 4 years. Could be. It could even be that this was all pre-programmed to be done. Don't know. Don't know.
Yeah.
Unless somebody, unless Richard comes out or somebody representing the OA comes out and tells us, we won't know. But I may not like what happened, but all I can do is look forward. And I'm not, and like Hex to Mars to say, nod in my head. Me too, man. You guys out there, we got like 1,600 people watching on.
So the 555s that occur, people need to understand that hex is removed from the market for 15 years. That hex cannot come back on the market at all any sooner than 7.5 years. Okay. So for 7.5 years, it's definitely removed. Okay. So the 555s are removed. The short stake, those can be redone. Those can be liquidated. A lot of different things can happen there, but primarily those short stakes are just for dampening shorter term behavior. And it really isn't sufficiently effective to people that are getting 3x multipliers that are staking for longer term. So if you want the more yield, you need a longer time commitment.
Yeah,
if you want more yield, or you get more hex to get more yield, so that you can have more T-shares, so you can generate more yield. So you've got a choice. But here's the kicker: there ain't that much hex.
Yeah.
There's only a possible amount of what we've got. 800 million. There's only at 40,000 hex per T-share. There's only 200. Is that 200,000 T-shares available
that are offered on the as far as hex offered on the market?
Yeah. So if you want to have 1,000 T-shares, then you got 200 people can get 1,000 T-shares, and it ain't going to cost them what it's costing today, because the first person comes in, that price is going up. Next person comes in, that price is going up. Next person comes in, that price is going up. So if people start locking away T-shares, there just isn't going to be that. There's just not going to be enough hex for people. There's only going to be 21. There will never be more than 21 million T-shares. That's immutable because of the rate going up. There's never going to be more than 21 million T-shares.
I believe that you're correct, but there could be more if people decided to go stake that have liquid. But yeah, regardless,
it will never be, and it only goes down from there, because the inflation rate versus the T-shares rate, it's just not possible. T-shares are deflationary. Unlike Bitcoin code, hex is immutable and it does what it does. And Bitcoin, they could decide. Guess what? You realize Bitcoin's not immutable, right? Bitcoin improvement proposals.
It can be changed. Yeah,
it can be changed. They could vote. The people that are power, you're just a consumer. The people that are actually in power, they could say, nope, we're just going to do 40 million. And it's not like they haven't bastardized that anyway, because they do these ETFs and paper Bitcoin shit too. So that, they're actually making paper versions of the Bitcoin anyway. It's been bastardized anyway. So it really doesn't matter if there's 21 million. Second of all, it won't be 21 million for another 120 years. So I guess that since everybody's going to be dead, they'll just go ahead and sell everybody alive. It's only going to be 21 million.
I don't know. You might have a new body by then. Oh, hey, Brody Groove was mentioning Hedron Icosa mooning. Yeah, guys, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Alex is getting ready to announce. He said he was getting close. So something's coming out soon. I expect to see a 10x minimum on those on the announcement and the launch. But we'll see.
10x? Woo!
Well, they're depressed, dude. I mean, those prices are way down. It would take the reason I come up with that number is because I had gotten Wattses back in the day. And for my Wattses to actually even just break even dollar wise, you need 10x. I think the last time I checked anyways. So And that was just like a total side play thing for me, not telling people go out there and jump into Hedron. I wanted to know. Rick in 305 says this to you. He says, "Hey, take profits back in the day was unheard of." I think that's an important comment, because I think there's something called, we talk about fear of missing out, FOMO. We talk about the FUD cycles. We talk about sudden wealth syndrome. There is something called fear of selling. It's a real thing,
Oh,
right?
well, absolutely. I'm not afraid at all to lose what I have in. I'm afraid to have an empty bag when we do hit
Yeah,
new all-time highs.
yeah,
I'm afraid of where we're going, So that's why it's important to be in a position where you don't need to sell. If you're in a
yeah,
position where
100%.
you need to sell, you're going to make impulsive decisions. And uh, me and Crispy, we don't want anybody to be sitting here dreading it. And I know it's been a terrible bear market and everything, but we've always tried to say, you need to be in a position that you don't need to sell. That's what's going to make you comfortable. We don't want people to sit through, worrying about how they're paying their bills.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in TradFi, the way I would talk about it is, you have a certain percent allocation to cash or cash-like investments. Things that are super low risk, and that usually out there would be 10-20%, ish. Somebody you decide on your own, right, or with your broker or your advisor. In crypto, I think it's always kind of like a good idea to have like 2% exposure. That's my current thinking, so that you have a few extra bucks when you need to, and then, but longer term, to buy the dips and all the rest. Now, longer term, for crypto in general, I think all of us need to have like a plan. I think it's better to have like a written plan, something that you write down that says, hey, this is what your goals are and what you're attempting to do, so that, yeah, you know what? A lot of us are greedy bastards, and you're like, I don't know, this thing just did a 20x. Maybe it's going to do 60x, and I'm not going to sell. That's me, right? I do it too. I did it with Hex. I was like, why didn't I take profit at 40 cents? I took a little bit of profit, but why didn't I take profit? I could have taken tons of
Because you
profit.
didn't know. You
But I
don't
didn't know.
know.
You never
You
know.
don't
But
know.
that's but
Okay.
that's the point. You never know. And
And a
so,
lot of people did, and a lot of people did on the way up, and a lot of people were out of a bag before it ever hit 50 cents.
yeah, that's it.
They'll tell you that, oh, they sold the top. Not exactly. They started selling at 15 cents and they ran out of a bag long before it ever hit the top. So a lot of these people that made bank, some of them lost it on their way. It's not like somebody just waited for the whole bag and got the very, very top and then just sold there, right?
Yep.
So you take some profit on the way up as you need. But if you're in a position where you don't need to sell, then you don't have to take that profit. You just let it ride. With HEX, you're earning more coins, right? So you're earning coins at today's value, hoping for them to be at a higher price in future value. In the meantime, you're earning them. I mean, think about earning 50 Bitcoin blocks back in the day. They were only like $25. Imagine getting a whole entire block. And then you're like, ooh, I'm going to sell that for $25 to pay my power bill.
I
Really?
know.
You
I know.
sold 50 Bitcoin at that time's prices to pay your power bill. Now you've got no Bitcoin.
Well,
Well, it's the same thing selling your HEX for pennies.
somebody had to pay the Powerball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, you're doing the same thing because you're making HEX now, and if you sell it at penny prices, then you get what you deserve.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
yours. You can sell it at whatever price you want. It's yours to do with,
so
but you're the one that's got to live with the choice that you sell at that price level.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that is a big deal. Eternal Owl is saying, hey, maybe we'll see 80% of all the holders exit, at around 25 cents. That could be very bullish too if that was to happen, because presumably what that means is that
I don't think they're here.
we no longer have that pressure.
I don't think they're here. I think they've already gotten out on the way down.
Yeah, maybe.
People are so worried about the sell pressure on the way up. I don't think it's as strong as you think. I don't think people have the bags that they used to. See, when I came in here, I didn't expect it to go up so quick, right?
Well, yeah, I didn't keep any liquid because I didn't expect it to come up.
We were talking about 3 cents in another 5 years or so, right? We were not being through the roof. We did not. HEX was new. We did not know what it could do. We were told on a daily basis that the market cap was too high and how it mattered. Everybody was judging everything by market cap. We believed that bullshit. You know, I was even sucked into the bullshit, thinking that it was a limiter of some factor, not realizing there's a difference between liquidity, availability, market cap, and actual circulating supply. There, you know, you have to really understand all of these different variables. And it's not a limiter because it matters how much is available to sell and how many buyers are buying it. If you've got, you could have 1,000 hot dogs, okay? But if you got 2,000 people buying the hot dogs, that means everybody doesn't get one. You know, so it's just in relation to the buyers, the supply in relation to the buyers. How much do they want? How much can they afford? Who's in line first? What are they paying for it? You know, it's not as simple and cut and dry as people think it is.
Yeah, hey, and kind of like following these points, I think the right pronunciation of your name is Niju. I'm not sure for sure, but or Nijo. But anyways, saying, hey, you do not need to sell. Put it in LB3 liquidity so you don't wreck the chart. That is very good observation, and it's very true. But it requires a couple things. One, you got to have some idea, some plan of what the hell you're doing. Meaning, like, you got to think about this and be able to put it into the B3 position in time for it to move through that position. And then secondly, you have to be willing to take a lower than whatever the top price is, which is kind of the point we were just getting at. And that's why I come back to the planning and why units were so important way in the beginning is if you got enough units, you're okay. I think most people be okay with, like, I'm going to take 1% off the table and I'm going to do that between 10 and 15 cents.
You can market sell 1 million hex right now. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, well, you can.
But if you got less than 1 million hex right now, you'll be able to sell it. It's not a big deal. It's when you get up into tens of millions and hundreds of millions where it becomes a problem. So, you know, when people are like, "Oh, I'm afraid you're going to trash the price," if you're a 10 million plus hex holder, then you have a certain responsibility not to just smash the price down in one. You should be smart enough not to. You should be smart enough to know not to do it.
I think the small people or small bags individually, not such a big deal. But I do think, like, in general, you know, when the tide does turn and everybody's selling, right? You've probably already missed the point, right? And then market sell is almost the only thing you have, unless we get some sort of a flat period where things range back and forth and the market's undecided. So it can be helpful for sure.
And do you need $1 million all at once?
No. Well, that goes back to the planning of what your belief system is, right? You know, because I do think that if you seriously been in this crypto thing, let's say you were trying to make it so that you have enough value that you can live off of it, then I would think that you need 2 years of expenses, right, put aside so you can make it through another bear. Maybe it's 3 years of expenses, maybe it's 4, whatever it is you think you need to do. If it's hey, I want to be able to get my truck payments for the next 3 years, well, multiply what your truck payment is by 36. Maybe that's your target. Whatever it is that you need to be doing, but having some sort of a plan around it so that you have the ability to stay in.
Or I don't know, work a job and use it as your retirement account. Run a business.
Be able to have. Yeah, you do makeup. You know.
Do what?
Do makeup. You can do whatever, right?
Do makeup. He's picking on me about.
You can do props, whatever, right?
Well, for me, I do a lot of things. So I mean, it's not always what everybody thinks. I do a lot of different things. The special effects makeup stuff is a hobby. So no, I've got a store. I'm a supplier, you know, for materials and stuff.
Oh, you get all sorts of stuff going.
Yeah, and then I've got the whole medical industry stuff. I'm about ready to launch a new product line for medical. So I've got enough stuff to keep me busy. So HEX is my 401k account, which means I don't need to check it every day. I don't need to check it every year, honestly. So the engagement and stuff, you know, when people want to know what's going on, and you know, I stay with the community while that stuff is going on. But No, I don't need to. It is what it is.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect it to run up to 50 cents, so that's why I'm still here. If I knew in hindsight, yeah, sure, of course, in hindsight you can look back and go, oh yeah, I would have totally sold the top and totally bought the bottom.
Yeah, well, I would have gone into all the pumped out tires stuff too if I knew for sure, right?
But we
know.
did not know, and it left us behind. It went in 31 days. It moved from 11 cents to 50 cents. In 31 days, it was gone. You didn't even you could not have seen that coming. And what was that? That was very simple. People were interested in buying. That's why these meme coins pump up, right? Because the only people that are even interested in buying them are the ones that are waiting to sell them later.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the only people that are buying. So you got a room full of 5 guys that are buying it up, right? And then and it doesn't dump until finally the people that are like, oh, hey, green candles, they come over, and then those guys exit on them. And then that's why you get the bloop, bloop every time, because anything can pump if the community, everybody participating, says HEX is going to be $1. If every one of these people that held HEX right now believed that it was $1 and said, I am not selling for less than $1, it would be $1. Because you can't, it's like walking into a store. You can't walk into a store and say, I'll give you a penny for that pop, right? You can't say that. You can say it, but they'll laugh at you. They'll be like, no, you want one of those? That's going to be $3. And you're like, $3? Screw that, right? You come back next week and it's $4.
Hey, Cryptomatic, DJ Cryptomatic. Yes. Hey, we'll let you know if we see any ads. I'm not
but
sure.
We decide the price. We decide the price. It's
yeah.
If somebody in our group wants to sell for pennies, they'll be the first one out. The next guy wants to sell for 2 pennies, he'll be the next one out. The next guy that sells for 3 pennies, he's the next one out. But when eventually what happens is you end up with people that say, hey, I think the price can go higher. And then they actually start to believe. Mm-hmm. Then they start to say, hey, maybe I don't want to sell that for a penny. Maybe I want to sell that for 5 cents. Maybe, no, wait, that guy with 5 cents, he's almost out. Maybe I'm going to wait. I'm going to sell that at 10 cents.
Well,
right?
I think you'll see a lot of that. Right? People will be thinking about selling.
That's just how it works.
Plan.
They will take profit at that point.
Then they'll eventually do it. Hey, Ramy's saying the average crypto person should just buy and hold 100%. I say buy, hold, and stake, but providing liquidity is just asking you to take advantage of by those who know what the yes, that is very true. I agree with that. It's not something that you should just willy-nilly be going into, but it's good to learn, I think, if you try.
There are different ways to exit. You can learn how to set limit orders. You can set ranged liquidity spaces, single-sided liquidity, ranged, right? And you could get paid as you exit. So like people that just dump, they're dumb. You're getting the worst possible price. Let me give you a scenario. Imagine you get a box of comic books, right? And you go to the pawn shop. Do you think you're going to get a better price when you show up with your box of comic books, or if you showed up with one of those comic books one at a time? What do you think you're going to get the better price at? Right.
All right, well, so, I know the answer to this.
So it's kind of common business sense, but you can tell even whales can be dumb, right? Unless they are intentionally trying to drive the price down to get you to panic sell into their limit orders that they set below that range. If they're not just selling into themselves to get you to panic so they can shake you out of your bags, then they're just being ignorant, because they are getting the worst possible price possible by doing large market sells. That's just not the way to exit. It's uneducated. Okay. Yeah. And you big fat whales, you can sell the price down right now. Thanks. I got limit orders down there. Give me. I ain't afraid to hurt your feelings.
They do take it. They do take some slippage when they do them.
I ain't afraid to hurt their feelings.
Here's a question from Free Speech News talking about the Bitcoin Daily, the $30 of Bitcoin a day for 8 years and turning 86K into $1 million. Yeah, I did see that, and that is pretty cool. That is the power of DCA in a predominantly.
HEX did one with HEX. HEX did one with HEX. Coffee did one with HEX. Coffee's got one where he could show you what would have happened if you just bought HEX at whatever random price.
Yeah.
throughout the first year. So
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, in HEX, if you had been doing HEX and been staking it for 6 years, every time you did it, right now you're in profit. And you got not only with the HEX are you in profit, but you would have gotten your free copy of PHEX and those stakes, and you'd have a bank, man.
what do you
All right.
mean? What do you mean? I'm still in profit? Wow, damn, I didn't know that.
It's crazy. Well, it depends on the timing when you bought, right? Of course, what you're averaging. And Retrostatic saying, hey, we also have Earn and Flex. We do. Power City's got that. That's where people take loans against their HEX, and
you can borrow against
they can borrow
your
borrow
HEX
against your
today. You don't have to wait for somebody to make something or do something or shift some stuff around. If you want to, you can borrow against your HEX today. It costs you $50 though. I think you get that restock fee sort of thing and that. So you got to pay attention, but that is another way. But that also doesn't work for big whales because there's not a lot of availability. It's not being utilized properly. It's not being utilized yet properly, which means there's not a lot that you can mint right now. You can't go in there with like $10 million and decide you're gonna have the liquidity to get 10 million HEX DC and walk away with it.
Yeah,
Not be able to cash that out at $1.
Yeah, it is a little violent. I do a little bit of LP with that.
Yeah.
Hey, since you mentioned limit orders, would you mind sharing where you're doing limit orders on Pulsechain?
Do I gotta? You do it
You
on
don't have to.
CalSwap. You can do it on CalSwap, guys.
Oh, you do it on CalSwap? All
Yeah,
right.
you can do it on CalSwap.
Because it's been tough. It's been tough to find some of these that work. I know Omnis is working really hard on getting their stuff going.
Yeah, I'm with Tetra for Pulse. Yeah.
There are some things you can do on the 9-inch. Though
See, I don't like 9-inch
it's got
because
to
your
have the
stuff goes
liquidity and
away.
stuff. So.
It's glitchy. It's glitchy.
Yeah.
Your stuff disappears, and you're like, "Oh my God, where'd my money go?" Right? So there's some glitches there, and I think
now here's a funny one. You can use. You may not catch it if it's just a spike, but you can also use V3s as limit orders because you set it in a certain range. And if it stays there long enough, you can actually capture it. But you can actually see something plunge through your range, and you'll earn fees on it. It's not as good as getting a cheap price, but if you happen to catch it, you can remove it.
Yeah,
there is that.
Well, that's the thing with the range liquidities is while you're exiting, you can collect fees. So if you're patient, you're not in a hurry. You can wait. This is the thing with crypto. Patience is your friend. If you can move slowly and methodically, you're fine. If you act impulsively, you're screwed. Every time you think about acting impulsively, most likely you're going to screw yourself. So learning how to move slow, methodically, even timing your way around ending stakes.
Having a plan.
The bleeds are 1% per week after 14 days. Well, you can bleed out for a year, but if the HEX price doubles, you've lost nothing. In dollar value, you've lost nothing. So if the price doubles by the time a year has passed, if it at least doubled, then you've lost nothing. Now, if you commit to a $15,000 end stake fee, and later it's a dollar fee to end the stake, well, you paid that $15,000 up front, and you are out that $15,000. So you really got to and you're going to have the same problem around Pulse. You're going to have to plan to drive when there's less traffic. You're going to have to pay attention. This is just the environment that we're in, that the roads get busy and congested, and you're going to have to plan around it. There's just if you want fast and easy, there's databases for that. Yes, I did. Swap or whatever.
I'm reading these chats here. Hey, okie dokie. Other than regular price charts, my charts are I showed them yesterday. There's not a whole lot different than going on, and I don't have the new data and the new T-shares yet. Once I get them, I'll bring that out and do it. Hexfire is anywhere I can see the percentage of people to get to contract maturity and stake again, like the percentage likelihood people restaking. So I went after this a couple different ways. I have some charts, obviously, that I do it with, but and some stats. But just seeing how many emergency end stakes there are, etc. The other thing we can see is in terms of the restaking, what's been happening is this: about 25% of the T shares go away every time somebody does a restake. So that's been kind of the rate. So how I come to that conclusion is observation. That's 20 to 25%. And the observation is how many T shares have ended in the last month versus how many T shares were created. And usually it's about 75%. Maybe 80% of the T shares get recreated. And that's been on a downward slope continuously. Now, we looked at the chart yesterday showing, T shares coming down and count for both chains, but now there's a wall. Boom. So we just went up. There's going to be some time before we can actually see any definition on a chart showing it come back down or whatever it may do. At least 7 days, right? We'll have to see what happens with this. See what happens with these stakes that are out there. Hey, do you think, Johnny, that this the OA doing these stakes and locking up is going to attract more interest from big players? I think that was a concern a lot of people have shared, but
no, I don't actually. I think because we're on the inside, we can view this a little better. And I think right now there's probably a narrative in mainstream that's saying, "Oh, we got scammed again." So you're probably going to hear that, and that's what I think is going to upset a lot of people and get a lot of people to quit, because fear is one of the easiest things to feed. They get you to question, because first of all, you're already doubting, right? So, if somebody can feed that fear a little bit and get you to act impulsively and liquidate your position, and then, they get away. They don't have a vested interest anyway. All they end up doing is harming you, feeding on your fear. I hate it when people whisper in people's ears like that and try to create these narratives that get people spooked. Because people are very susceptible to it. Fear is the easiest damn thing to feed.
Oh yeah, fear and FOMO, man. Right, FOMO. Hey, listen, none of us, I think, are immune to it. So it just takes practice. Just takes practice to be able to not react to it, and I still react to it. And actually, I probably saved my ass a bunch of times for not getting, going from 100 to 0. But then it also, but it also prevents me from doing things, like Richard announces pump.tires and I should go buy every token. Right?
No, but see that's not it either. Again, this is where we're talking about advertising, right? He's not encouraging everybody to go degen. This is what everyone. He wants everybody to go degen. Oh, he's giving up to go. No, dude, this had nothing to do with us. A matter of fact, if you're selling your HEX right now to go play pump.tires, or you're selling your Pulse or PulseX right now, he's wringing his fists. He is not happy with you right now. He's like, look at these idiots. They're selling their future. You are selling your future. You're selling your future to play games. That's what you're doing. That's what he would tell you. I don't like to speak for the guy. Let the guy speak for himself. But the point is, he saw what Solana did with Pump.Fun and how Solana, it got all the volume. He filtered that volume through Pulse Chain because he wants it to pump Pulse Chain. And in reflection, if it pumps Pulse Chain, HEX being worth 300 Pulse Chain, it's going to pump HEX as well. Okay. Oh, yeah. So that's the real ratio I'd be watching right now, folks. The real ratio I'd be watching right now is between HEX and Pulse, because the way the jars are set up, I don't know if I really don't know if I want to get into the liquidity and routing and all that bullshit, but
no, well, hey, dude, I did talk about that a little bit yesterday. I'll pull up the HEX chart with Pulse. I'll pull it up and show it.
That's the ratio that I'm watching closely. Is I want to see that move, and it could go as high as 3x. You could see 900. You could see 900 Pulse per HEX. Mm-hmm. And I have a theory behind this, but you could. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You were listening. I think you were listening yesterday when I was talking about the liquidity routings and the things I was seeing. Yep. This pump that tires thing. So I'm going to tell. Let me explain this slow, really, really slow. In the world of liquidity providing on V2, who gets the rewards? The liquidity providers, the people who put the value up. So if let's say I haven't confirmed all this stuff, I'm just saying with my understanding is that the OA devs, whoever were involved in this, are the ones that created these tokens, right? So they created these tokens, these 10 whatever, and it kind of pisses me off. I'm confused because now I got another hex to look at, but regardless, right? But follow me through here, right? So we already know the OA's liquidity pools or the system's liquidity pools because of the farming and all the rest. V1 is the monster, right?
Mhm.
Now this new monster gets created, all these tokens paired up with Pulse, right? And then getting burned
If
into
they
the web.
graduate. Yeah,
If they
if they
graduate, yeah,
graduate.
yeah, but I'm talking about just those specific ones, the dye, the the hex, the pulse hex. By the way, I didn't see an incentive. Maybe there was one now. But it being these tokens that are confusing to me, anyways, those get created, and so now those have webs, and now liquidity's been added to those, and so then when I go look at the, I look at this expansive freaking volume that we had, right? I'm making some big assumptions. I'm presuming that these big pools have been put in place with the pump.tire stuff is related to the system devs and the OA. And so now, yes, I just saw a 10x on the volume, in the numbers I track. But you know what? A third of that is in V1. A third of it when it was at the peak was through the pump tire stuff. Right. And so I kind of, I haven't been able to prove this. I would kind of go through and look at it. But what I'm thinking we're seeing is a new routings were put in place in order to create, the circuit
It's
that,
buying
that,
pressure
that,
on
that,
Pulse.
that can really, really be
Yeah.
like a flywheel on the entire system.
It's
Um,
it's it's buying pressure on Pulse. Okay. It's buying and it's removing it from the market. It's placing it in locked liquidity pools. It's making Pulse more scarce. Okay. But uh, again, the stuff we are seeing in the system, once again, is more applied to long-term thinking. Okay. And that's the kind of behavior that we're actually seeing in the system.
yeah.
And this is marketing. They've got one of those. I want one of those on my chain too. And I'm going to design it in such a way that it's not a profit maker where I'm putting money in my pocket, but I'm going to use that money automatedly through the system to reinforce the ecosystem. So if people are going to gamble, they might as well gamble here, is the whole thing with this. Okay. Yes, there's nothing wrong with you guys having fun and going over there and playing, but you need to ask yourself one question. And I want you to ask yourself this question before you click the button. What exactly are you buying? Really think about it. What's it do? What makes your picture different than the next picture? Because literally everything on pump tires is a cookie cutter. It's the same market cap. It's the same circumstances. It's the same environment. What makes you think in our sphere, within a sphere, within a sphere, within a sphere, that anybody's ever going to see these things? The only people that is interested in those things is you. And as long as only you and a couple other people are interested in those things, the price is going to go up because you guys are only interested in buying. What happens is it gets big, like Hex or Pulse or whatever. You've got other people that are in and out. You can't control the flow of the money because now you have thousands of people instead of a couple people that think something's funny and they just want to pump some money into it. And that's fine, but you got to recognize what it is.
Yeah.
You got to recognize what it is. You are buying something to remove it from the market, right? Okay. It only has a send and receive function. There's nothing technical about it. It's cookie cutter. A 12-year-old in the basement could do it. You're not a dev. You're not anything special. Oh boy, you clicked a couple buttons and you made a coin. Maybe you worked days on your picture, but the majority of the market is not going to ever see your picture and they're not going to ever care. There's 400 million freaking coins out there. There's multiple pages upon pages upon pages of pump tires. Maybe if you're somebody and somebody cares, I see a lot of people are just trying to scam. They're just putting similar names to things, or they're making tokens of other influencers or whatever, and
Yeah,
they're just trying to loot from them.
it's
And
kind of
because they're
aggravating.
not popular enough, they know they can't market, so they'll just copy somebody else and put their name on it so that maybe they can rug $20 or something, right?
Mhm.
So it's fine, guys. We can advertise this thing as, hey, you guys want to do that over there? Fine, come over there and do this here. Hey, you like that token over there? You got free copies over here. That's what Richard's doing.
Oh yeah, it's green and plus green candles.
I was talking to Pep about it. It's like, dude, he's just outbound marketing. You guys, people, it's like, oh, come degen with us. Degen with us, please. Degen with us. I mean, it's like, what are you guys, demons? You know, what the hell, guys? Richard has always preached long-term behavior.
Yeah, 100%. He didn't change. He doesn't change. Yeah. He hasn't changed his opinion. I said that, some people, like I was talking to Kareem, he didn't mean it negatively, but he said something along the lines, well, they always changed its view on things. No, I don't think it did at all. It's just providing people who want to degen the ability to degen. Hex Wizard 369, thank you for the $50.
You get tipped big time, man. You got two of them. You got Stoic and you got 50.
I got three of them in 2 days. Nobody ever sends me anything. So I like, God, thank you so much. I'm tickled pink. Hey guys, assuming we beat the SEC, what's your price prediction for PHEX? Thanks.
We've already beat the SEC. They haven't got permission to continue. Yeah, they have not got. They're asking permission to continue their case. They have not got a confirmation that they have a case. That's what people need to understand here. There was a hearing. Okay, there's a hearing, and they got to say, here's our complaint. We have a hearing. Listen to our complaint. Richard's attorneys respond with, you don't have a case. The SEC is trying to say, yes, we do. Your Honor, may we please continue? Your Honor isn't judging against Richard. Your Honor is deciding whether or not she's going to allow them to proceed. It's Mother May I. May we proceed? And so far, if you watch, Geraldo's got the whole transcript on record. It sounds to me like she basically told them, if this is all you got, you don't have a case.
Yeah.
Really, that's the summary of it is, you guys better bring me more if you want me to let you pursue this case. And I don't think she's going to humor it. And I don't even know that they'll have funding to continue to pursue the case at this rate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hey, let's answer this question though. I'll tell you, I'll give you my thoughts on this, Wizard.
I'll be back.
Sure. Wizard, we started talking about price. I think of course there are ways for us to try to actually do a calculation on it, right? If you have the amount of hex that's in the in the pools by buying it out, or double the other side of it, you get your 4x, et cetera, et cetera. We can do all that. I think we're in the land of psychological numbers, and and when does the community run out of funds, right, to drive the price up any higher? But all that being said, it does seem to me that if we were to get favorable announcement like that we would see something in the $1 to $2 range. Is that guaranteed? Nah, I don't know. We're just gonna have to watch what happens with the prices. And I do think for the cycle, assuming we see some sort of a rhyming cycle, I do think the $2 to $5 range is in the cards. But I think all of those are going to be like psychological numbers where people may be triggered to sell. We've heard a lot about the 10-cent mark, the 25-cent mark, the $1 mark. And so we just don't know. I kind of like the $10 mark, but we'll just have to watch it and see where it goes. And I hope that's a good enough answer. Maybe Johnny will come back with something different on this, but yeah, I still think, that 100x plus is still possible. It's just one scenario though, right? Because a lot of people can do a lot of stuff. So I was just laying out those numbers. I don't know if you heard it, but
yeah. Well, so here's the thing, guys. Look, here's the fact. You can have the best product in the world. If people don't want to use it, what can you do? If everybody wants to run around and beat nails with screwdrivers because they don't want to buy a hammer, that's on them. There's just easier ways of doing things. So I don't like to do price predictions, but on HEX, tell me one reason why it can't go to $1. You cannot use the word. You can't use the word market cap because we already know market cap's Fugazi. So give me one reason why HEX can't do a 2x over the last all-time high in a new cycle. How can people say Ethereum could go up to $7,000? Ethereum could go up to $10,000. Ethereum could go up to $32,000. How can they say that in confidence and not be able to recognize that HEX could possibly do a 2x over its last all-time high?
Yeah. Well, I'm 100% with you on that. People are kind of weird with this whole thing. Like I take off all my other hats. I'm wearing my XRP hat. I got no problem believing they could go to $1,000. How incredibly stupid is that, right? And so if it does, I'll be happy. Let me take that hat off. I'm gonna put my
nobody thought Bitcoin. People were excited when Bitcoin hit 30 cents.
Nobody thought Doge was going to $1. But let me put my Doge hat on, man. So I'm just saying.
Let's talk about the very first listing price for Bitcoin. Do you know what the very first listing price for Bitcoin was? Go Gox it. Go Gox it. I'm telling the audience to go Gox it. Here's funny, okay? You're like, Johnny, but HEX is only a penny. It could never do what Bitcoin did. It's not possible, right? Yeah, well, Bitcoin's first listing price wasn't a penny, guys. Bitcoin's first listing price was $1,309 or 1,309 Bitcoin for $1. That was Bitcoin's first listing price. 1 to 12.
Oh yeah, I think.
What ratio are you looking at, Wizard? Did HEX just snap to that? By God, I'm telling you, if I can get 12 for 1 PHEX, I'm gonna have to make some adjustments.
Well, you might have been talking about dollar price for HEX.
Just
looking at the chart
for $1.
What we're at.
It was 13. Yeah, 1,309 Bitcoin for $1 was its first listing price.
Yeah. Hey man, the order book back then was like a spreadsheet or something, right? I think it was anyways, because some of the old data that I got, I had to pull like data listings that people had in text form to get the original prices on the Bitcoin. It was kind of funny, right?
I'm laughing right now because Docile says it can never hit $1 because all my limit orders are 99 cents. I don't have any to drop in limit orders, guys, right now. So if it hits $1 tomorrow, I'm screwed. I can't. I have no more power over the code than you guys do. When I'm staked, I'm staked.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of in that situation too. $1, 12 cents price prediction. Yep, that's what I took it as, 1.12.
Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I mean, I don't know what it'll be. It's not. And actually, again,
there are no limits. That's what people don't understand.
I'm not looking.
Take market cap out of there. Throw market cap out for a second. I know Sami loves it's how he measures it. Okay. It's how he measures it, and it's how he rationalizes it in his head. He comes from the traditional finance world. He is learning. He does know that there's a difference between liquidity and market cap. There's just some. So I'm not trying. I'm not. I like the guy. Okay, I think he's highly entertaining and everything. But there are some things that are put out there that are theories. Okay, these are theories that he is developing. First of all, we've only had 4 cycles. So you can say different things based on that, but you have to realize all these conclusions are drawn from 4 cycles, right? So you have to remember that when you're looking at this stuff. Second of all, I know market cap is a Fugazi. I made a statement on the blockchain to prove it. They're worth $7 million a piece. There's a billion of them. I own the market cap is larger than the world's national debt, okay? But nobody can buy a coin, right? So I know how this shit works. I know how to set prices, but you can't buy it, okay? So that's what you need to understand. There is no limit. What limit there is the amount of availability that there is, units on the wall available for sale, and then how many buyers come in, and what they're willing to pay for it. Again, I know people that will pay $8,000 for a Black Lotus card. It's cardboard. Okay?
Well, not cardboard.
Why would they not pay $1 for a, there are people paying dollars for meme coins. Why can't HEX do that? Nobody talks about Doge, just as big as HEX. It almost hit $1. Okay. Nobody ever thought that was possible. And it happened years down the line.
I sold my Doge too early, man. I sold all my Doge. It was terrible. But yeah, there are no limits. It's really only limited by the
limited by participation.
But I don't think you can have like a target number. I mean, you can have a target number for planning. Like, why wouldn't I, say, yeah, at $1, which I would avoid that common mistake of saying $1. But for our example, at $1, I'm going to take a profit or whatever of a certain amount and then see what
somebody with 17 ETH right now can just walk into HEX and 4x the price. There's no limit.
Yeah. Well, and there's people, I don't think people realize just how many big players already are part of the ecosystem, like, Genesis whales and whatnot. And, maybe some are new or whatever. Hey, just one comment on the ratios, just looking at the HEX to Pulse ratio, are about 40%, 45% away from the all-time high of that from about last winter at the moment. So maybe we'll see a resurgence, right?
We could
see HEX come on top.
See, I don't want to spell shit out, because anytime, parody has become a parody because people are giving me shit about that. Johnny never said it would. Johnny explained what could. And I said it can happen because someone has the coins and all they have to do is change the cookie jars.
Yeah, they could make
it happen. And that can happen at any time. So someone who has a majority of the coins controls the cookie jars. That's just how it is. If they want you to trade 3 white chips for 1 blue chip, that's just how it's going to be, because they can put so many coins in the cookie jar that you can't move it because you don't have enough coins to do it. Right. So that's how liquidity works. And I try to explain to people what is possible. And then they're like, first of all, what really ticks me off, man? People use my shit out of context, and it just makes me so angry. I can't do these HEX conventions. I'm gonna hurt somebody because this shit is bullshit. But they'll be like, hey, Johnny, you're wrong. Oh yeah, weren't you the stupid fucker that was talking about 100-to-1 ratio? Yeah, I was wrong.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I was wrong. I think 1-to-2 is a lot closer to 1-to-1 than 100-to-1 is. I hit those goddamn targets so close. Nobody was even close to that, and we did hit 1-to-1 several times. It went back and forth. What do you think happens when the captain of the ship says everybody move to this side of the boat? What do you think happens? Everybody moves to that side of the boat. It's your captain, right? You're going to do that. So what you're looking at is money that's already in the system and its reaction to the behavior of the captain. You are not looking at the majority of the market that doesn't care even though we exist, right? You're not looking at the generalized market. You are looking at the behavior of the people that are already in the system responding to the orders of the captain. That's what you're looking at. So you cannot take a close read on that.
Yeah, well, we would just don't know. Hey, are you aware that the 414 dev did pick up a ton of that HEX? And they created... Yeah, well, we would like to see HEX go 1-to-1 with people.
All the smart guys do. All the dumb guys who already sold their bag don't. The smart guys do.
Yeah.
Marianne, Alex,
I'll take it.
You know, you'll take it. So what I was actually explaining was that was the thing that was healthy for the system before it happened, was to just go ahead and set it up that way, because it would have prevented all the chaos and the confusion. And then it would have prevented people from going, aha, your side of the ship is sinking, not realizing that they're on the same ship. Right. Mm-hmm. So I was trying to avoid all that chaos. So I went out there and tried to mitigate that to the best of my abilities. And then, you know, people just got shitty with me and it pissed me off. So I stopped doing anything. But yeah, so I mean, I was trying to avoid that because I knew everything that happened is exactly what I was afraid would happen. And I think I was on a show with you and Axis. I want to say Alexis. Axis, right? And he said, well, what if this happens? I said, well, then we're screwed. It was on Maddie's show. I'm like, well, then if HEX goes down,
I remember that.
Yeah, it's like we're all screwed then. And we're going to stay screwed until something changes. If that's the case, then screw it. We're screwed because, you know, it's like they're all attached, you know, and for the outside world, just saying one hex sucked and that there was they don't hear that. They don't hear which one is which. All they hear is hex sucked. The rest of it, they don't get. They don't care. They're not going to ask. They're not going to ask. They don't care. You know, they're never going to listen to your explanation. They're not interested, right? People are going to buy that have never seen us. People are going to buy that have never seen us. They're going to be like, oh, I recognize that logo. Oh, I heard. Let me get some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, just like you guys right now in your meme coins out there. You're like, oh, hey, look. Hexo's got one.
It's a big
I'm
world.
Buy some of that. Maddie's got one. I'm going to buy some of that. You know, everybody's got one. I'm just going to buy some of that, right? You don't think twice about it because it's got familiarity to you. It's got importance or significance to you, right? So people just go out there and they're like looking around. They might go on CowSwap and go, oh, look, there's HEX. I think I'll buy some of that, right? They don't have to know how to bridge. They don't have to have any of this information that we have. They don't have to be on the inside scoop. They don't have to tune into Crispy every, what day is it? Sunday. They don't have to tune into any of us, right? They don't care what we have to say. They're not going to call us up and ask for our explanation. They see a logo. They're familiar. Sounds like the thing to do at the time. They're going to click the button, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, of course, they can do whatever they want, right? And they don't need to see us.
They might not even know who Richard is. You don't need to know who Richard is to click the buy button because you recognize the logo that you saw somewhere once, or that you recognize a brand name. You don't believe me? Okay, name a favorite game of yours. A very favorite video game.
Oh, Centipede. How about that? You like that one?
Who made it?
Sorry.
No,
I don't know.
Who's the dev that made it?
I don't know.
Name me another game.
I don't know. Monopoly. I don't know.
Who made it? Don't say Parker Brothers.
I don't know. I get your point. Yeah. I'm looking to see if my data ran through while we were talking, and maybe we can see it. Nah, it failed. I got to go address that afterwards. So yeah. Well, before we wrap up, last kind of words, right? We've been talking a good hour 40. Like I told you, man, we can go on with this forever. We can go for a long time, but save some ammunition for later. Hey, I don't know if anything
all over the place today.
I don't know if anything new happened while we were on here, but dude, just to finish up where we started, I'm like even more bullish about I didn't think I could become more bullish about my staking ladder, but I'm even more bullish. Not financial advice for anybody else. Do your own research and figure it out. But I'm like, I can't see how I can't see not adding to my staking ladder at this point, long term. And so I will do that, and I will report back in 2040.
we have not. What disturbs me right now is that it's too calm. That's been like throwing me off. There isn't any volatility right now. There has not been that big of a reaction to it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, because for the reasons you already know, dude. You already know the reasons, right? Why it would be.
I would think it would spook some people, right?
The tree, yeah, but the tree's been shook so hard. I mean, we've been like you know, we've been on this campaign of trying to get people to stake really hard. At least, you know, personal observation, letting people know about the details, trying to get them to do it for the last year. And it's calmer now than ever. We've had so many tree shakes. I mean, how many more
quiet.
people?
How many? It's too damn quiet.
Well, you know, how many people can you shake out, right? You know, they finally be
I don't think they're willing to go. I think they're holding on to the tree.
That's right. I think you're just. I think at this
juncture, the monkey in the tree. No.
You know, there's a few people. There's a few people here and there, but I mean, most people are already out. If they're done, they're done. They're already out. And then as far as the stakers go, I don't know how much more diamond-handed do they have to be to prove that at least their intentions are to stay. And anyway, so like Richard Shattuck saying, calm before the storm. I think that when volatility and volume goes down to the kind of levels that we're at right now, it's setting up for the explosive move. And all of these things, everything you're seeing being put in place, you know, I reluctantly pulled all my LP.
But see, that's just it. People are behaving responsibly. People are behaving responsibly and calmly, and it's like, you know, it's like, don't panic. Everybody, you know, slowly move your way to the doors. Do this. You know, it's like nobody. I'm not seeing a panic at all. You know, and I'm not saying there should be, but I mean there usually is, and that's
there was a little, you know, that ink pump there was a little bit of frenzy on the ink pump.
Yeah.
And every time they start up the bot army, you know, I get a little panicked because I'm working on stuff and I'm trying to get things done. I'll look at the stats right now and see. So you know something's going on. Hey, oh yeah, that was another thing with the, you know, the whole gas thing. I mean, it's down at 1 million right now, Beats, but it was like at 100 million, 120 million at the peak. And so, you know, when I was telling you before about you know, the pairs and how the routings were going through, well, virtually. You know, if you have bots that are going to go to specific pairs and do specific things because you've already programmed it to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And gas goes through the roof, but you have an unlimited amount of pulse.
Right.
You can do whatever the hell you want to do for as long as you want to do it. Meanwhile, these other pools, they won't even sync. There were hours where pools didn't get any servicing because gas was so high. You know, outside of whatever this big move was being made. And then on top of that, as a user, unless you were willing to pay $20 for a transfer, you weren't doing nothing. Right.
Yeah, that was crazy to see the Ethereum rates, that it was cheaper.
It was cheaper on Ethereum.
It was cheaper to unstake. It was
I love that meme.
It was cheaper to unstake a 5-year stake than it was to swap on Pulsechain. That was insane. It was 15 in the stake, and 15 or 17 or something in the stake. It was $20 to swap on Pulsechain. And we were like, what the hell? It's like, dude, I tried to freaking explain it to you. It's the same damn network. And if we get busy, the prices go up. It's a copy of the same code. It runs on the same sort of parameters. You know, you got to understand, and you're still going to have to account for traffic. You have to account for traffic.
Just slightly different because we're on Shanghai, right? So version at the moment.
We're in the woods and nobody knows how to find us. That's imagine when it really does get busy.
That's right. Let's fork it. Let's make Pulsechain great again.
But that's one of the reasons why. Well, I'll tell you.
We'll stop there. But yeah, we could have some fun with it. Hey, everybody, listen. Johnny sounds bullish. I'm bullish. No panic. Just wait for, you know, see how some things develop, specifically with the old HEX. Unless another shoe drops, we're going to be waiting to see what happens at the end of the 7-day staking period and what happens with that. And maybe it'll be used for some course adjustment, and we'll just see where it goes. That's all. So, thanks again, guys, for the super chats and everything else. And thanks for, you know, tuning in. And Johnny, where can people find you if they want to find you? You want anybody to find you?
You're not supposed to find me. You guys are not supposed to know I exist, for God's sake.
Don't find Johnny.
Don't find me. Don't find me. I'm just bitching by myself all alone on my Twitter page, and I seldom even go out to bother anybody else on theirs. But Lord, everybody's got something to say about me.
Yeah. All right, let's see if we get any more comments. I got nothing else out there. Sorry, guys. So everybody stay crispy. We'll see you next time. You can check out the website hexfire.io, and I'm on the X at hexfire.io. All right, and we're out. Let's see if my outro works. My intro failed.